watching. Thanks for caring, so that's nice of you, but I have to go back in. Wish I could tell you about the noise, but I didn't.
Hey everyone, thank you for joining us. I'm Marty Kelly, coming from Bangor, Maine. So, really excited for today. We're going to be talking to a friend of mine from the UK who has not one daughter, but two daughters that he took to the Stem Cell Institute in Panama City, Panama, about a year ago. So it's really interesting for us as parents because with stem cells, there's no guarantees and you never know really how it's going to work. For one child, it's different for another. So with twins, I think that's really fascinating because you get to see, two genetically similar children and how they respond. So we're going to talk to John today, Jade Lockey, from the UK, and his daughters are twins that are 5 years old. So a little bit about our background first is my name is Marty Kelly, and I live in Bangor, Maine. And about a little over 10 years, maybe 11 years ago, in 2009, how long ago is that? I guess it's a little over 10 years. We took our son, Kenneth, to the Stem Cell Institute in Panama City, Panama, and he has autism. And we took him there for stem cells, and he was 8 years old. And we had a life-changing experience. He went from diapers to highly functioning. So we think it's important to spread awareness for stem cells and what they can do for everyone out there. We know how you feel. We know what it's like to have a child with special needs and, to be searching through different therapies out there. And this is just a way that we found that was beneficial and helpful for our child. And we like to, spread awareness throughout the whole world about what stem cells can do as an option. Choice.
Hi. You okay?
People that you know. Hi, and here's John. We had a little bit of trouble, but I think we fixed all the glitches. What do you think? Hi, John. So this is Jade Lockey. He has twin daughters with autism. If you know somebody with twins, comment twins below. If you know anyone with autism, comment autism below. If you've done stem cells, write down below, hey, we've done stem cells, we had great results, or what your results are. I mean, results are all over the board. Results aren't guaranteed. So I'm really excited to hear from John because your daughters are twins, right?
Yeah, they're twins. Oh.
And what's their names?
What's your daughter's names are names? Meadow and Summer.
Okay.
They're 5 years old,
and they're 5?
And
okay, tell us about their story.
First off, they're both autistic. Both twins are non-verbal. Meadows probably got more severe. She's kind of more severe autistic-wise than Summer is. We started off as everybody else thinking our little girls were fine, and then I was diagnosed, and then gradually we realised that, to our horror really, that they were autistic, and we had to adapt to that as most parents do. And then following on from that, with pre-stem cell, some of the things that were attributed to their condition is like Summer was like mildly, so she would have like marginal stimming. She wouldn't sleep very well, but on the whole, she was quite relaxed regarding her condition. Whereas Meadow had more severe issues where she would have 2 or 3 meltdowns a day, and severe, and at the same time she would self-harm. She was quite inflicted in that way.
Okay, and what kind of results? You went for stem cells about a year ago.
Yeah. Well, what happened is my wife and I, we got to a stage where Meadow was like having these severe meltdowns 2 or 3 times of a day. And during those meltdowns, she'd self-harm quite badly. She'd tear at her nose and her eyes and her ears and mouth, make them bleed. She'd slam her heels and feet into the ground and she'd pull at her nappy, play with the contents, make herself physically sick, and so on. Also, keep Summer, her sister, up at night. So basically, my wife and I had like sleep nights and 24 round clock care for them. We got to I'd say fair. We got to a breaking point, and it wasn't for the fact that I started to Google. Really, I mean, it sounds silly now, but what's the cure for autism? And obviously, there isn't a cure for it. But out of desperation, we done some research and we come up with your website, Marty, with and your successes with Kenneth. And so we looked into it, and like most parents, we think, well, what's this stem cell about? Is it dangerous? Where do you get it from? Why isn't it allowed over in the UK? Why has it not got FDA approval in all the states of America? And we went down that route. But, in desperation, really, we come across stem cells. But, after doing exhaustive research and looking into, like, what basically most parents would look into, like, is it dangerous? What are the side effects? Can we trust these people in Panama and so on? And the more we looked into it, and we see the Joe Rogan show with Mel Gibson, and we heard something about Josh Brolin, and there was a couple of people that on the website, on the panel website, where they'd done some speeches. There was one gentleman, I can't remember his name now, but he was, I think he was New York, and he had his little boy, and he was explaining how it helped his little boy and so on. So we went down the route of, of looking into it, and then we gradually got the courage up to go ahead and give it a go. And obviously, at first, our expectations were like secure, because we are realistic about it. Autism's there for life, really, and we wasn't expecting anyone to, wave the magic wand or make the magic potion for them to be okay. But what we felt is that, looking at Kenneth's success, we felt even if we got a marginal success where Meadow would not self-harm and perhaps sleep through the night and improve on her attention span, and just basically, like, if anything helped Meadow, that for us would be a miracle, really. So we went to Panama. And, prior to Panama, Meadow had no communication skills whatsoever. So attention span was no more than seconds, really, on anything. Summer herself, her sister, even though she was mildly affected compared to Meadow, she only had one word in her vocab at the time, which was no, and that's all she could say. And but she, in a way, that we could communicate better with Summer through body language, really, and so on. And you can tell when you're looking after your children constantly, like as we have been with having twins. Our family is north from where we live, and so we were pretty much left on our own to manage them. We enrolled them in a local school that's luckily for us runs an ABA program, and they started in September 2018, early September, and then following on from them starting at the school, we were off to Panama within 2 weeks. So it was quite a roller coaster ride for us, really, to get to that stage so quickly. When we got to Panama, we had the 4-day treatment, and again we was a little bit apprehensive, but still frightened. It was a long journey for us because it was a 14-hour flight, and we hadn't been in the car with the kids for more than 2 or 3 hours, let alone 14 hours. So it was a big adventure for us, and quite a worrying but exciting thing at the same Once we arrived in, I don't.
Well, you know, that's a long trip, and I'm sure many people want to ask you how you figured out such a long journey. But you know, for us, we did a lot of research, and you know, I believe Panama is the best place. It's where everyone's seeing the best results. There's so many things out there right now. It's hard for parents to decide, hey, what is real and what isn't real. How did you decide that Panama was actually legitimate and a good
Well, when we
place
looked
a
into
good choice?
Dr. Reardon and the medical professionals there, we asked all the relevant questions. We read his book first as well, that was published in Stem Cell, the Panama story, really, in his stem cell book, and then I suppose really looking at it, I mean, at first we felt that Panama was like a third world country, really, in some ways. But then when we found out that the location was the Hilton Hotel, which is quite a well-known, established, flash hotel, really, if anything, if you want to call it that. And the investment that was made into the actual laboratory there, and Mel Gibson on the Joe Rogan show and the interview with Dr. Reardon as well, at the same time portrayed basically that was the centre of excellence with regards to stem cell treatment. And I believe that, going a bit further than that, we looked into Dr. Reardon was providing stem cells for the FDA on some trials. So we knew that we was in safe hands, if that's what you want to, if that's how you want to put it, really.
Yeah, Dr. Reardon, the Stem Cell Institute actually has 2 INDs here in the United States from the FDA, which is Investigative New Drug, to treat 2 patients with Duchenne muscular dystrophy here in the United States. One of those patients is very famous. His name is Ryan Benton with Duchenne muscular dystrophy. I think he's over 30 years old, and he actually has an FDA-approved treatment with donor umbilical cord stem cells from healthy live births. But the exciting thing is with you, John, and your 2 little girls, both twins, what kind of results did you see with each twin? And tell me about your year and progression after getting stem cells last year in September.
We went off in at the end of September, beginning of October, and I must admit that it was quite even, like the administering of the stem cells. They're only 4 years old at the time. It was quite a painful experience for them, really, like in regards to the fitting the intravenous and so on. But when the moment we got home, our first reaction was that our little girls were running around really, really active, hyperactive, and then all your fears come in, then, doesn't it? What we've done, what's going on. Nobody explained this to us, and so on. But despite the fact that they were running around like they've had a sugar overdose for the first week, we noticed that Meadow was sleeping through the night, and we put it down to her being exhausted through the day running around. But in fact, really and truthfully, she was just more relaxed in the evening. And then I can honestly say to you that from the moment we got home, Meadow had no meltdowns whatsoever. She completely stopped self-harming straight away. Her appetite grew. She started to eat foods that would normally associate, we wouldn't associate her with. Within the first week or 2 after stem cells, she used to go to a little centre called the Sunshine Group, and where she'd play with other children. It was like a respite, really, for parents and so on as well, so they get to play, the girls, and we get a bit of a break. But they commented on Meadow walking in as if Meadow had never been there. She was like she was awake for the first time and actually understood her surroundings that she was in. And she just walked around. Normally she'd run around, stimming, flicking these toys. She likes to flick things in front of her face and get soaking wet, really, water, anything to do with water she loved. But on this occasion, she come home completely clean, and she was just walking around. And all they explained to us was that she was just smiling. So her awareness was from the start quite amazing. And just before she went, Meadow, because she couldn't speak, they tried to teach her the basic signs, so she could communicate with us. And Meadow couldn't even grasp the actual concept of forming the symbols and the things with her hands in order to actually let alone understand them. But within the space of 3 weeks after she came back from Panama, not only had she learned all the signs, she could form them all, but she understood 2 of them, and already she was asking for a drink, a biscuit, and pretzel, which she likes as well, which is all a little bit part for the ABA, because they reward them. With ABA, obviously there's reward and so on, and they quickly learn the word for sweet, biscuit, and so on, because that's what they get in reward for doing something right. But the most important thing is that she was starting to show signs of learning, and by Christmas, Meadow won an award at the school for the best, for the most advanced learning and ability in her year, in her group. So she's only been at the school, and she was the most up and coming pupil within that small period of time. And again, my wife and I mean, obviously, she hasn't started to speak at all, really. But she has learned her signs, and the self-harming is completely stopped. Which, if someone said to me, pay this money out on the stem cells, and Meadow will stop self-harming, stop pulling her nappies off, stop making herself sick, sleep through the night, we would have remortgaged the house for that in a heartbeat, without question. And we got all that. We got all that within 2 months, I'd say.
Wow.
So we are blown over, really, with the results for Meadow. And to this day, I mean, there has been some settling period where she's just sort of ticked over and so on. But recently they've just started her on nappy training, and she's only 5. And they started her over this period, this week, and she's had 2 dry days already. She's used the toilet and she's communicating. Yeah, she's doing absolutely fine. We're really pleased with her. Both my wife and I have been doing sign language lessons so that we can keep up with her learning at school. And that's all I can say, really, except she's making progress week in, week out, winning. They get like little rewards at school, like best of the week and best pupil of the month and so on. And so Meadows doing exceptionally well compared to like the fact that given the fact that she was more issues than Summer. And then Summer, I don't know where to start. I mean, Summer had one word, no, that's all she said. She couldn't do any sign language. She wasn't nappy trained. The only good thing about Summer, really, with regards to her condition, was that she did sleep through the night, and that was a plus, right? But she got through the first 2 or 3 weeks of her school, and she's doing remarkably well with everything across the. You looked at her progression chart at school. It goes off at a 45-degree angle. I mean, she said Summer has had 3 years target set to her already within the space of this year, and she's smashed them already within 6 months. Summer can read.
Summer's having really good
Summer's
results.
now speaking. Summer speaks in sentences. She can count to 20. She knows her alphabet. She can read certain books. She memorises books. She's quite unique that way. She'll memorise. Well,
Ever since the stem cells?
I think it's a mixture of like school and stem cells. I mean, Dr. Hernandez said to us, when you get back, explain to the school that to when you think you're pushing hard, just push a little bit harder. You know, just give them.
But wait, you were
She only
saying
knew the
she
word
only knew the
no,
word
and Summer's
no
usually like.
before stem cells, and now you're saying all of
Yeah,
these things have
I can
changed.
honestly say to you that Summer had just no. That was her vocab. That was it. That's all she could do. Yesterday she tripped over and she turned around and said, "That was close, wasn't it?" I mean, that is the sort of thing she's doing. She's using phrases that are in context. Do you get what I mean? So she's like, I mean, I wrote a couple of things down. Yeah, she's just doing remarkable. She really is. And like, you know, there's you know, she's reading off. Yeah,
That's
she
amazing.
won the best outstanding pupil in the entire school on the awards night for the school that the school had, and she's doing wonderful. She dances, she sings, she knows her nursery rhymes. She loves anything to do with Ben 10 and Sophia the First and so on. She knows most of the songs in Sleeping Beauty. I mean, it's quite remarkable. It really is. And I don't want to take. I know stem cells has been absolutely wonderful, but I know that really and truthfully, you still need a good school as well. I think, you know, and the school has played a big part in pushing, learning, and so on. But this is what we've had last week. Summer, we was brought up to the school, and they're taking Summer out of ABA and sticking her into like a moderate learning really class. So she's actually now being removed from one to one, and she's transitioned into a teaching environment. Whereas you've got like 2 or 3 students to one teacher, because what they want to teach her is that she's got to learn in a group and not just as an individual. And that's where Summer is in just after 8, 9 months, which I think is amazing from just saying no. It is huge.
That's a huge
And when we
progression.
went to the stem cell, you have to fill in the questionnaire, don't you? And the questionnaire, you have to put down, you know, it's quite brutal really, and it's upsetting. It's a very, very, very detailed questionnaire. Does your child do this? And, you know, would you say your child is between 1 and 5 at this and 1 and 5 in that, and so on? And yeah, I'd say it's a good, you know, it takes a good hour or so to fill them in properly. And if we filled in the recent one, the year one recently, and it's like you're not talking about the same children. You really aren't. And
Wow.
we're yeah.
Wow. That's a
I mean,
miracle.
I don't know.
You must feel so amazed, so blessed. I mean, 2 little girls. It sounds like you've
Really have,
had
yeah.
really good
And
results with
to be
both of them.
fair, we was worried that Meadow is also suffers with epilepsy, and she's had a good number of seizures, which really we feel that has taken its effect on her as well. We actually feel that Summer's progressed further and faster because Meadows had to deal with the seizures, and now we've got the seizures under control with the help of Great Ormond Street. We're looking forward to returning back to Panama in the next month, and yeah, hopefully Meadow will get a leg up from that, where we've got the medication controlling her seizures now. So hopefully, you know, all we want to see now is that graph of success really carrying on up at that 45-degree angle that it's been going on since they came back. And you know, and honestly, if you're a parent out there that's worried about stem cells and so on, you're right to be, because there's a lot of people out there that are selling stem cells and have not got the right controls in place. But I can assure you that our little girls have had no effects whatsoever from visiting Panama, and they're doing remarkably well.
So, what is your advice to a parent that says, you know, I don't know if it's going to work or not. It's a lot of money. Do I want to take the chance? You know, I really don't, I'm not a rich person. I don't have a lot of money and I do want to try it for my child, but
Well,
there's really no
I believe there is no
guarantees.
guarantees, but from all the parents I met out of Panama, they all seem to be quite happy with the progress their children have made. And I spoke to a young man that was undergoing stem cell treatment for MS, and he was from North London, I believe. I think you've met him before. I'm not too sure if you. And he explained to me that he was there for the first time the year before, and he had no control over his physical shaking and so on when it comes to eating and his concentration. And after stem cells, he said he actually joined a gym. So like, I mean, and at the same time, you know, he was back for his second set of jabs basically because it worked. And I understand it is a lot of money, and it's a lot of money for us. It really is. And you know, like most people, yeah,
Yeah, because you're paying two
we're paying for
times.
twins, you know, and as well as, you know, so, you know, really and truthfully, if we had one child, we'd be looking at like a full visit, wouldn't we? You know, with regards to two. So, like, you know, it's an incredible expense, and it's such a shame that we can't get this kind of treatment in the UK because it clearly does work. I don't know. I mean, there might be some people out there that didn't have good results from it. But I haven't heard of them. I haven't heard of them. And
I don't hear it that much. I mean, that's why it's really important. Like, anytime that I talk to people and in our stem cell group, like, the best results are coming from Panama. That's the only place we've ever used since 2008. Like, that's just what we know. Um, I don't know any other clinics right now at the moment, but what is your advice to a parent with an autistic child? What's your takeaway? What do you want to leave them with for John Lockey and his two twin daughters, Meadow and
we're in
Summer,
Essex.
over there? And where are you
We're
in
in
the UK?
Essex, next near Lakeside, which if you know this
Essex?
area, you know where that is. But my advice would be like simply this: is that, you know, I mean, you know, put the money, you know, get the money, find the money, because at the end of the day, at least give it one go. I mean, like, you know, save up, you know, sell your soul, get out there and give them one go, give them a blast of these MSCs, and just see what happens. And if nothing happens, you can see. The point is for me is that if I didn't go ahead with it, I would always be asking me the question, well, you know, would it work for my elements? Did I? I can honestly sit back now and say that I've actually done my level best for my kids, you know, and I can honestly say that prior to stem cells, they weren't in a good place, and now they are in a good place. They're in an excellent place. We really did. Um, we really did feel at the time, you know, that we were at breaking point trying to manage, and it was incredibly hard. And I know that, you know, that just because we've got two, but that doesn't mean that I've learned, you know, that, you know, you can have just one autistic child, and he could, and that boy or girl can be a right handful, more so than our twins even. You know, I've seen it firsthand. But I can honestly say to you that, you know, that you have to give it one go. You have to find the money somehow and give it one go. If it doesn't work, then you can sit back and say, well, we tried. But if it does work, I guarantee you'll be saving like wildfire to do it again.
That's really good advice. I appreciate you coming on and talking to us and sharing your story, giving back to everyone what you know, what has helped you, and that's all we can do as parents. So thank you, John Lockey, his wife Jade, and his two twin daughters from
Lovely, thank you.
Essex, England. Okay, well, have a
Take
good
care,
night,
thank you.
John. Thank you so much. But so yes, that's my friend John over in Essex, England. And again, I'm Marty Kelly, Bangor, Maine. My son is Kenneth, and we like to share these stories with you every week. If you find value in them, comment value down below and press the share button. So thank you so much for watching, and comment value down below where you're coming from. Thank you. Have a good night.
Wish I could tell you about the noise,